Expanding from PC hardware and services, today NZXT is announcing a whole lineup of peripherals. From the function mechanical keyboard to the lightweight lift wired mouse, NZXT is offering plenty of customization along the way. And we got our hands on the function MiniTKL layout keyboard here, as well as the lift mouse in white, so let's dive in and check them out. Thanks for watching 9 to 5 Toys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and enable notifications with the bell icon so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Hey everyone, Jordan here with 9 to 5 Toys, and if my voice sounds a little bit different, it's because I'm getting over an illness, so just bear with me, although maybe I wish that I had this voice more regularly because it sounds a little bit more like a radio voice. But anywho, today we have some new peripherals from NZXT. We have one of the function keyboards and the lift mouse. So first off, we're going to dive into the function keyboard, which comes in 3 different sizes available. We have the MiniTKL, which has all the functionality of a TKL keyboard with all the navigation, but it's crammed into a smaller body. So this is basically like a 75% layout. So this MiniTKL is priced starting at $120. They have a normal TKL as well, which is priced at $130, and then a full-size keyboard coming in at $150. And a lot of the construction and aesthetics are going to look very similar throughout all 3 of those different sizes. It's just the layout and where those keys are positioned that will be the biggest difference there. So all of these keyboards have a standard bottom row, which will make replacing keycaps a lot easier. They have a left side volume roller, along with some additional buttons that we'll get into. They have a hot swappable switches, so you can put any switch in here that you want, and a detachable USB-C cable. Alright, so taking a look at the overall design here, one of the biggest things that NZXT has is some customization options for these function keyboards. So basically there is a retail version, which doesn't really have many options, and then there is, the custom build model that you can build out through NZXT's website. So the one that we have here features a lot of the custom options, but for the base options, the chassis is available in both black and white, and then we have the optional gunmetal gray on this keyboard. And so we mentioned it a little bit, but the cool thing about the 75% layout is that across the top, you do have all of your F keys, so a little more functionality built in there. And then along the right, you still have your arrow keys for navigation, and you also have all the keys that would be found on a standard TKL layout. So you have page up, page down, end, and home. So a lot of functionality just crammed into a smaller body here. And the reason that I like this is that just makes a little more room for my mouse when I am gaming. So I'm not, crashing into the end of it, because I usually do some pretty big mouse movements. And most of the big manufacturers aren't really offering a 75% layout yet. Like there's nothing from Corsair or Razer. There is one from Glorious, the GMMK Pro, which is one of their most recent keyboards, which has a ton of custom options, but the base for that starts at $170. And then you have to add switches and keycaps on top of it, so that adds up pretty quickly. So with the base for the function from NZXT starting at $120, that's, a pretty great deal for everything you're getting here. And like we mentioned, that base comes with Gateron red switches, but when you start to customize it through NZXT's website, then that adds a flat $10 service fee, and then there are some other options that add additional cost as well, which we'll cover a little bit later. And another cool thing to note here is that NZXT is claiming a 48-hour turnaround time for shipping custom keyboards, so it's not like you have to wait a long time to get your custom board. It will ship pretty quickly. So taking a look at the rest of the body, it has a pretty low profile body here on the sides. As you can see, it doesn't stand up super tall or anything. And of course there are risers on the back as well, 2-stage risers to help you get at the best angle for you for typing. And then along the left side here, we do have that volume roller, which is stepped. There are little clicks in it, so it has a tactile and audible feel when you are adjusting it. And then we have the 3 different buttons along the side here as well. Now, I really like that all of this extra functionality is on the left side, because when you are gaming, that just means, it's a quick movement with your left hand to, adjust the volume or hit one of those switches. And those different switches, what those are going to do, the top one will mute any audio. So real quick, easy way to mute. The middle one, that will disable the Windows key. It's a Windows lock. So when you are gaming, that just makes it so that, you don't accidentally hit the Windows key and pull yourself out of a game. And then the bottom button will adjust the brightness of the LED colors. You can kind of see, I'll cycle through them here and just turn them off. We have 1 stage, 2, 3, 4. No, turn it off again. So Nice, easy way to adjust the brightness there, and some great functionality built in on the left side. But at the same time, occasionally when I was moving my keyboard, usually when I'm typing or working, I have my keyboard pretty much centered in front of me, and then if I am gaming, I'll move it off to the side. And when I was doing that, occasionally I would accidentally hit one of these buttons and, have to figure out which one I hit and how to change it back. So that was my only complaint with the location of these along the left side. And with the rest of the chassis design, NZXT has kept things very simple and, pretty elegant. Branding is also very minimal, just like, on the Foundations PC, they have that kind of ghosted symbol on the front. That's what you're going to find on the back of the keyboard here as well. It really blends in with the black of the chassis, and you kind of have to be at the right angle to see it. So it's very, subtle, but is a really nice, elegant touch, I think, for branding. And moving on to keycaps, for the retail version of the board, NZXT is offering a black ABS shine-through keycap, and then there is the optional gray PBT colorway for custom boards that we have here. And NZXT is also offering some accent colors. As you can see on this keyboard, we have red for the arrow keys, enter, and escape. And there are a few different colors you can get for those if you do want to spice up your design a little bit. And then also on the accent color, I'm not sure if this is intentional or not, but where the legends are on the top of the keycaps, you can actually kind of see some of the light shining through there, which makes them look a little bit thin in my opinion. Like I said, I'm not sure if that's intentional, so you can see the outline of the legend, but that is different from the other gray keycaps, and to me just makes them look, a little bit thin, not quite the same premium feel that I would expect. All right, and moving on to switches, all of the options here are from Gateron. So the retail version, the base version of the board, will have Gateron Red, which I think are, a good switch. A lot of people like those. Personally, I'm a really big fan of the Gateron Brown, so that tactile feel, and that's what I usually have in my drop alt. And the red, blue, and brown are available for custom builds for no additional cost, except for that $10 custom build service fee. But then there are two upgrade options as well. There's a silent black at 60 grams, I believe, and then the alias silent tactile switch as well, which is what we have in this keyboard. And I think they're claimed to be a 60-gram switch, but to me they feel a lot lighter than that. They feel actually pretty similar to the Gateron Browns that I'm used to. It doesn't feel like I have to, push them down very hard to actually actuate them. And so far I'm enjoying these alias silent switches quite a bit. They remind me of the Gateron Brown, except there's like a little bit of squish at the bottom of it. So I think there's maybe some sort of dampening in there that actually makes them, that's what gives them a kind of silent name to them. It's not as much clack when you do bottom out the switch. But for me, they still feel pretty light. It's really easy for me to type on. And as far as pricing on these custom switches, the Silent Black and Alias will set you back an additional $70 for the TKL and MiniTKL, and $80 for the full-size custom keyboards, which is quite a bit of an upgrade there. But of course, these are hot swappable sockets in here, so you can pick up some other switches from Drop or from KBD fans, and then, drop something else in here and really, get a feel for what you really want. So that's some great functionality built into this keyboard. And unfortunately, but not really surprisingly, the stabilizers do sound pretty rattly on the Function keyboard. And that's something that is pretty common on the Drop Alt as well. It's pretty rare to find a pre-built keyboard that has, really great stabilizers that don't have a lot of rattle to them. But here we'll do a sound test of this keyboard so you can hear it for yourself. And through NZXT's Cam app, the Function keyboard also has per key RGB lighting. There are layers for the base color, as well as a reactive layer if you want the keyboard to react to different inputs. And the low profile design of the keyboard makes the lighting pretty easy to see from most angles. And lastly, both the full-size and 10 keyless versions of this board feature a magnetic wrist rest, but the MiniTKL that we have here does not come with one. Alright, and now let's move on to the Lift mouse, which is a lightweight wired gaming mouse from NZXT. Weighing in at 67 grams, it's right in line with lightweight mice from other manufacturers, but we're also seeing wireless mice around those numbers as well. For instance, the Model O wireless from Glorious PC Gaming Race weighs just 2 grams more, and it costs $20 more. But one of the main differences you'll see there is that NZXT has opted for a full shell. It doesn't have the perforations in here that you would see on something like the Glorious Model O. The Lift features a 5-button ambidextrous design that is right in line with the shape of the Model O wireless. It has a very comfortable and familiar shape for me, measuring roughly 127 millimeters long by 61 millimeters wide right in the middle where I grip, and 38 millimeters tall. The dimensions are also very similar to the Viper from Razer and the Glorious Model O. And the one that we have here is in white. NZXT is going to be offering both white and black for the base retail options, but then once again through their website they will be offering accent colors on these if you do want to spice it up a little bit for your setup. And just like the keyboard, there is a subtle NZXT logo on the back of the mouse, and then also on the front near where the wire comes out. Along the bottom of the mouse on the left and right is a subtle strip of RGB. Colors and reactive modes can be set from within the NZXT Cam app. It's reminiscent of the rear underglow lighting from the Razer Viper Mini that's pretty understated. Most of the light goes down towards the mousepad, and on my black Razer mousepad Gigantus V2, this makes the RGB a little bit more difficult to see. For hardware, NZXT is using a PixArt 3389 optical sensor and Omron mechanical switches that are rated to 20 million clicks. And though the NZXT Lift is wired, the cable is a low drag paracord that has plenty of flexibility when in use. It was very rare that I noticed the cable when I was gaming, and adding a bungee can help with the cable as well, but even without one, I think the NZXT has a great cable on the Lift mouse. And while I usually prefer a wireless mouse, I've had no issues using the Lift for productivity and for gaming. It's light, the cable moves easily, and the shape is exactly what I'm used to in an ambidextrous shaped design. And coming in at $60, I mean, there is some stiff competition out there for the NZXT Lift mouse, but I do think that they have a good looking, a good performing, lightweight mouse here. If you're not interested in that perforated design from Glorious, or you don't want something from one of the big brands like Razer, then I do think a lot of people are going to be happy with the performance of this mouse. And in addition to the keyboard and the mouse, NZXT is also offering custom cables if you do want to get a different color. Obviously I went with the red here to match the accent colors and 9 to 5 toys on the keyboard. But they do also offer mouse pads as well, so you can kind of get a great little setup from NZXT. And overall, just wrapping up here, NZXT has entered the peripheral market with some great products. The MiniTKL design on the function keyboard is something that's still pretty unique and stands out against the stiff competition from other name brand manufacturers. Of course, there is the GMMK Pro from Glorious, but with that bare chassis starting at $169, the NZXT is much more affordable in its base setup. And being able to take it from there and customize it with hot swappable switches, a standard bottom row for custom keycaps, makes it a great setup. And although it's up against some stiff competition, I do think that people who opt for the NZXT Lift mouse are going to be happy with it. Like I said, lightweight performance is great, the cable is really nice and flexible, and it has a very comfortable, familiar shape as well. Alright, and that'll do it for our review of the NZXT Function MiniTKL keyboard, as well as the Lift mouse. Let us know what you think about them down in the comments below. And if you're looking for some other videos to watch, I will link over to the NZXT Foundation's pre-built PC, as well as the NZXT streamer mic. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And despite how my voice sounds, this is Jordan with 9 to 5 Toys.